All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Shawnee Hills Village Council meeting for January 24th. Everyone that can, please stand and say the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Here. Andrew.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Here.
And LaRosa is absent.
Approval of the minutes from January 10th. Anything on page 1? Page 2? Page 3? And nothing really on page 4. So I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 10th?
So moved.
Second.
Gates.
Yes.
Eisen.
Yes.
Candy. Yes. Andrew.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Approval of the agenda. Any questions on tonight's agenda? A motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Gates.
Yes.
Eisen.
Yes.
Candy. Yes. Stature.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, Brian?
Thank you, Mayor. Three things, excuse me, yes, we're gonna start using the podium, please. I left Dan a note, he didn't say anything.
I was trying to figure out where. Yeah.
I love a public podium, so.
Thank you.
My report just went from 3 to 30 minutes.
We're gonna have to move that up and get them on the screen there, so.
Ooh, there you
go.
It's right.
It's on 14, so. Damn Abrams. Anyway, my report is. 3 things on my report tonight. Worked a little bit with Mark and a little bit with Rob Miller. I don't want to say on issues more. We went over some of the things that had to do with the Ninja Gym's parking lot before last week's ABR meeting. There was Mark and I went through the zoning code, and Rob had some procedural questions, so I was able to help both of them on those issues. Late last week, worked with the chief on an employee issue, and then last but not least, actually, I was out last week, so before I went away, I did draft ordinance 02-2022, which is that fireworks legislation. I tried to make the whereas clauses kind of understand, last year, Governor DeWine signed what was called fireworks bill, which takes effect in July, which now allows everyone to buy fireworks, commercial grade, and set them off at your yard, as opposed to what I've heard people do is you buy them in Ohio, tell somebody you're going to Pennsylvania or wherever, and then do what you do with them. But now it is actually legal on those holidays that are listed. One of the quirks in the legislation that was passed by the General Assembly is local municipalities could either restrict the number of days that you could do it or ban it altogether. Our code currently has a ban on setting off fireworks like that. I've talked with Russ. At least the proposal with this legislation is to continue that ban and not allow it on all of those holidays that are allowed, which will be allowed after July 1st. That's sort of a quick rundown of 02-2022. That's all I have tonight. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Questions? No. All right, Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Russ?
Sure, my police chief report on the fireworks. Spent the majority of my time speaking with residents about the upcoming development. So I'm just going to run down Ninja Gym parking lot. That's been approved by our engineer, zoning, and ABR. Equity, they have a groundbreaking this Thursday. Dan and I will bring snow shovels to that. It's seems to be trending that way. The 10 acres back at the end of Westview, nothing's been formally proposed to the village. They came, they had a conceptual idea. There's nothing been submitted to the village. When we do get something, we'll speak with residents. But I know there's a lot of buzz about that happening. The perceived parking issues in the village, the land that Shawnee Square sits on has been sold. Been speaking with the property owner about multiple blight/code violations that have plagued the property. He seems to be interested in developing or rehabbing the center, but has to work with Tremblay because he inherited his lease. And there's another 50 years left on Tremblay's lease. Ohio groundskeeping, we've had several complaints. We're addressing them. A lot of the complaints have to do with the status of the grounds. There's nothing they can do till spring. So we're going to make sure, and from what I've told the residents up there, that we're not going to let this bleed over to the summertime. I've been meeting with them pretty regularly. We have siding on the front of the building now, so that's a plus, but it stopped. We need to get that moving. The goal is to try to stay out of court because that costs us money, it costs them money, and nothing gets done. So any questions on that? Any of the projects that are going on? Still waiting on equity to get back numbers for the improvements along Blip Road. Once we have that, go to finance. The employment page on our website's been added. Finally, we'll have a continuous posting for part-time police officer. That seems to be, we seem to lose part-time guys pretty quickly. But then the PIO position's posted. I had a meeting with Morpsey, exploring ways that our participation in Morpsey can benefit the village. One of those, and I'll have for UST and council, I've been speaking with Chris and looking at Sustainable 2050. It's an initiative that supports Morpsey member communities' sustainability efforts through direct technical assistance, collaboration, and recognition. It kind of has a green piece to it, and it also has a tech piece to it. And it's no cost to the village to participate. And looking at the buy-in from our community, it doesn't seem like it's going to be something overbearing for us. And from what I've seen, it appears to be a good program for us to jump on. Our neighbors, Dublin, Powell, Plain City, there's a couple smaller villages in Central Ohio that are also in there. So we'll explore that, and I'll have something UST. It seems lately we've been bombarded with development. The village and our surrounding areas are rapidly growing. There's nothing we can do to stop it. I spoke with the township the other day. They had the proposal for about 350 houses just up the road. So the village has very little or no say to what type of business comes in. It's privately owned land. If someone buys it, they have a right to develop. We can't interfere with that development unless it conflicts with our code. Now the code is set by council, and if residents want to change the code, we want to talk about the code, that's for you folks to decide. A lot of the issues that I dealt with this week centered around the parking lot and ADR's scope. And I know ADR wasn't doing anything wrong, but I don't think a lot of the residents understand, ADR's architectural board review. Their scope for that project was landscape and what color do you want the lines to be painted per our ordinances. We need to make sure that the conversations we have in the committee stays appropriate to the committee, or it puts the village in a bad position. I don't know what the answer is. Things like drainage, traffic, parking, noise, those are all considered either on a zoning level or other committees or council if the project gets there, if it's at a PUD or they ask for a variance. But looking at two projects, the Wine Bistro and the Ninja Gym, were two projects that went through without any variances because they 100% met our code. If that's something that we want to look at, we can look at it. But I don't see any other big lots that a Ninja Gym can pop up on available. Wrong or incomplete information regarding recent proposals has created a ton of unnecessary work for village staff. I know last pay period I had like 15 hours I dedicated to nothing to fixing things that were said online or elsewhere, and it creates a lot of unnecessary work, and we could be looking forward and making sure that things are exactly what the village wants. So I just urge the residents, if you have a question about something, come in and ask. I had one resident sit down and talk about the development too. They came in and talked about the development, but come get your answers maybe before we put information out to the public, because I think a lot of our residents see that as the only information going out, and hopefully with the PIO position, when we get that spot filled, we'll be able to be more proactive in that regard. But I just urge everyone to come get the answers, ask the questions before we go to the internet or cause issue. I do think the residents need to have some sort of input in what goes on, but I would also like the residents to be understanding of the fact that the village has a process and there's laws in place that we can't say we don't want this type of business unless it's specifically prohibited by our code. We kind of get what we get. We need to make it what we can make it the best we can for the village and the residents. So that's all I have on administrator.
All right, police chief?
Okay. Annual report, it's over there. We're still seeing some of the lingering effects of COVID. The zoo wasn't as busy. Our calls were a little bit lighter. Last year, our domestics were really, really high. This year, domestics were really light. 2020 domestics were really high. I think everyone was stuck at home together. 2021, they were a lot lower. So you can kind of see where people went back to work or people got out. New cruiser has finally arrived. The cruiser we purchased last year is in the process of getting outfitted. This got sprung on us. The Delaware County Clerk of Courts has stopped issuing citations. So they're pushing everyone towards the e-citation model. So I might have to bring that to safety and finance, depending on how that pans out. But it is cost saving in the long run, because right now, about 3 days a week, our officers are driving up to Delaware City to drop things off, and they're leaving the village and going there. So number one, we're going to gain the officer in the village still and save the gas from driving up to Delaware. Employment, we're actively trying to hire part-time officers. Full-time rate of pay continues to be an issue, and part-time rate of pay. The number of applicants has declined drastically. Both our part-time and full-time pay is roughly $8 to $10 an hour less than what other area agencies are paying. We did hire a part-time officer, Derek Slane. I think would be a good fit for the village. He seems like a nice kid. He's younger, just out of the police academy. This is his first job. So we're going to invest a lot in him to get him to where he needs to be before we're comfortable with him on the streets by himself. Fingers crossed he sticks around a little bit. On that same note, Officer Campbell, he's been here for 3 years roughly. He just left us for the village of Sunbury. And that's what hurts is he's leaving a part-time job here to go take a part-time job there, but it's $8 more an hour. So kudos to him for getting the position, but you know, we lost a well-trained officer. Officer Curran, we just hired her last council meeting. She's leaving us for the city of Grandview full-time. So that was less than 3 months. Last week, the police department had to end its employment relationship with a full-time probationary police officer because of staffing issues. This officer was temporarily reassigned to work second and third shifts. Unfortunately, the officer refused to work these newly assigned shifts. He called off twice with little notice, in direct conflict with our policies and rather discipline issues and concerns that developed over the past 2 months. I can discuss them all with you guys individually, not on the record, you know, and was willing to do a public records request, but that's all I have on that. So we are really short staffed right now. And then the fireworks that run in hand, so.
Any questions for us? All right, visitors. So Rachel, obviously step up here, say your name
Okay.
and address.
Yes, at the podium. All right, my name is Rachel Milligan. I live at 46 East Waterview Drive. I'm here with my husband, Paul, and my neighbor, Jennifer Whitman. And first, I would like to offer my apologies. I did not realize with this being my first meeting of council that there was a committee meeting apparently happening before. So I'm so sorry, but I am very happy to be here and appreciate the hopeful forgiveness. So I just wanted to say we're newer to the village, especially with COVID. Now we're kind of looking forward to being in the community a little bit more and being more active community members. And really just looking for some more information on how, as a council, the expectation to communicate notice of public hearings is supposed to be circulated through the community. I know that we are looking at hiring a communications position to help spread that word, but my concern is that it doesn't appear to really be happening currently. So I just wanted to connect and see kind of what our plan is, or if there's a way. I'm happy to volunteer to help communicate those things. But especially with all of the growth in the village that's taking place and a lot of public hearings, it sounds like the need for that is there.
Anybody want to respond? I can respond. So you're speaking specifically of the lots on.
Yes, the lots on Osage and Waterview. Yeah, so I saw that there was from the minutes, the last available posted minutes were at the time from December 13th. And I saw that it was the notice for the first public hearing. And I have not seen any kind of public notice of there being a hearing, whether it's in any kind of circulation digitally that might be around. I know that the community is pretty active in our Facebook group. While that's not an official way of communication, especially from the village, that's something that is a resource that could be available. I know the Village Gazette is also another resource that is circulated throughout the village. But even something as simple as a sign, I've not seen any kind of signage. So my question is, is there public notice to the villagers? And if there is, where can I find it? And if there's not, how can we be circulating that to the community?
Well, first, the agenda is posted, Shirley, it has to be posted in 4 places, is that correct?
Yeah, it's posted, well, 3 right now, it's posted here, it's posted over at the playground, and it's posted at Elder Carroll. And it used to be at, the pet grooming place, but that was locked for all last year, so no one could get in.
Okay. So the agenda is
And
posted.
the agenda is on our website, it's put on the Friday before every council meeting.
Okay,
Now, as far as personally being notified, so Brian, what's the role who is directly notified if there's a hearing as far as neighbors are concerned? So she lives across the street from Larry's lots. Jennifer lives 2 houses down from Larry's lots. Is it only the
If I could,
adjoining properties?
the statute concerning public hearings for rezoning anyway. It's in 1117.10 A.B., A1B. And it says that neighboring properties shall be set out, as set out in the applicant's affidavit, shall be notified, served by first-class mail, posted at least 10 days prior to the date of the proposed hearing. That is for the immediate public hearing that is held at the Planning and Zoning Commission.
okay,
Then after that, if there's a public hearing at council, and council can set that, it just says, council shall establish a date for public hearing on the ordinance and the plan giving notice in accordance with the provisions, blah, 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 shall be set within 90 days after the receipt of the report from planning and zoning. So council sets a public hearing date for council on the same issue. And then, but how that is made public, I'm not sure.
That's on the agenda.
so I think,
Yeah, that's on the agenda.
I think especially being new to the village, I know that there are a lot of people who are new to the village, not understanding or being notified. I mean, even on the website, finding the agenda is not easily accessible, especially in terms of any kind of notice of public hearing. Also, just having that kind of information that this is, I mean, Elva Caro is my neighbor. I did not even know that that's where any kind of notice was posted. So how can I help as a community member share the word that there are things like public hearings? I'm sure as council men and women, you would probably appreciate having a little more involvement from the community. But I guess basically, is there a better way to communicate with the community members? And I'm willing to help share that also.
Well, hopefully part of this is taken up by advance notice by the new public information officer. So that's an effort to be more proactive in what gets out there. As far as announcing, there has to be some, and I'm not saying, this isn't an accusation or anything, but we have to rely on some personal responsibility. If somebody is interested in what a public hearing is or what they can find the agenda, they can find, I mean, there's only so much that we can do based on our budget, our means, our technology. And we're trying as best we can to modernize, just not there yet.
Right. Well, and I would like to think that I am a pretty self-reliant person in trying to find information. I know that you said that wasn't meant to be accusatory or anything like that. It was challenging to find that information, having it be readily available. So I hope to be more involved going forward, and I look forward to meeting everyone. And I suspect that I'm not the only villager that has problems accessing and being aware of information, especially as it pertains to notice of public hearings when it comes to rezoning of property. So I think that's.
So if I may, we're talking about 2 different things here. So the notice of hearings, notice of meetings, notice of those kind of things, that is the number one job of the person that we're looking to hire. Like they're gonna make sure that it gets out, probably via Facebook. I don't know what other social media, Twitter, but they'll get it after that. But I think the other issue, the other side of the coin is when something's being rezoned, our ordinance and what we do is Mark sends a certified letter to adjoining property members. I wouldn't recommend we change that practice at all.
Well, and I
But
think, oh, go
because
ahead.
that's set forth in the Ohio Revised Code, so, as far as personal notification for rezoning of a property or development of a property, I mean, I think it's the same thing mirrors 4 or 5 different things, where we do things with our code, or do things with commercial lots, the adjoining touching neighbors get notified personally.
Okay,
The PIO position is, we're hoping is going to fill that void via social media. And maybe press releases, they can write some things to get to Gazette and stuff like that, but, so I think it's 2 different coins, 2 different sides of the coin we're talking about here.
And I think you're somewhere in the middle.
yeah, no, like, so yes, citizens have to be informed and engaged on their own and willing to do that. But there's also a level of making sure, and I know you're trying to do that through hiring a new position, but you know, right now, especially with all of the development that's happening in the area, technically my property does not touch the property that's being redeveloped, but it certainly affects us. I mean, we have, they turn the lights off tonight, but there's been lights shining into our house. I know Jennifer also has been dealing with that too. So when it comes to really understanding when there's big development that.
Who's like, Larry?
Yes, yeah, they just turn them off. They're like they're yellow lights that are going, they come into our bedroom and bathroom. This isn't El Vaquero, this is this property. They've been turning them on. And then tonight I noticed they were actually off, but you know, there are things happening at that property that are actively affecting us. And especially when it comes to building and businesses, we're definitely excited about the opportunity that the limestone presents, but we just want to make sure that we're aware of everything that's being considered. And certainly we're not going to be able to come to every council meeting every other week, but knowing which ones are, when there's information that's specifically affecting us and our property, those are ones we absolutely want to make sure that we're at. So really having the ability and the accessibility to that information is so important. And I just think at this point, I know it's kind of hard figuring that out. I know you're working on it. And really my purpose tonight was to just come and observe. But since I had the opportunity, I think I would just share that because it is an issue that I'm even happy to help volunteer in some way to help solve.
I would just like to say that I posted for several years now on Nextdoor, the minutes and then now the videos.
Okay, I'm not even a part of that, so.
Yeah, and I know that, and I get that right from our website. And
Okay.
It's a 2-step process to get the meeting minutes, to get to videos, all that kind of stuff. So that's a good preparation. I mean, usually our meetings have been running like a half an hour.
Mhm.
So that way, especially in the legislation that we talk about, it's a first reading, it's read. So it kind of prepares, if this is going to be a 3 reading kind of situation, then you would know like, okay, the next one's going to be a 2nd reading, it may be a public hearing. So there's plenty of time for people to have their input, you know, on issues. So I would just encourage people to do that, you know, either go to our website, which like I said, is a 2-step process, just under government, you know, village council, boom, at the bottom there is the videos and the approved minutes. And I'm sure Facebook picks up some of that too. And that's just a good preparation. You know, if you can't be here at the meeting, a lot of people don't want to come even now with COVID and everything.
Mhm.
But I appreciate that. And if you're any way techie or anything like that, if you think there might be a way to more directly see that or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure-
an email list. I mean, that's something you can build into your website for free through Constant Contact or MailChimp. Anyone who wants an email signs up through the village. It's an email list that's automated and go. That's probably something more for a developed position, but I mean.
Do we have email lists for like sewer bills or anything, Shirley?
We have MailChimp on our website, but no, I don't do I could do other things for the PIO.
Because that's something that, I mean, there's so many, there's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Nextdoor, there's not,
Snapchat.
there's Snapchat. There's not one central communication piece that the village has in place, to my knowledge, other than there's the postal service when there's things that have to be like
Sure.
legally mailed out, and then that's it.
I think that, I remember our intention several years ago when I was on the committee with that with Shirley and our former, 2 times ago, village administrator, when they set up the website. And there is some constant comment with regards to it's difficult to find certain things.
Mhm.
So I don't know whether it's just that everybody wants everything right on the front page or what, I would suggest maybe talking to the.
Yeah, who would would I like just send you an email with some suggestions, or, I mean, I'm not here to be critical, I'm
Sure.
here to help, and I'm excited to be a part of the community, so I don't know if it would be helpful for me to send some information to you, or
Absolutely.
like just some suggestions.
Yeah, because the number one thing I hear, and I've heard it more than once, is you can't find the meeting minutes. Go to our website, you scroll down to the council meeting, and the agenda and everything's right there.
Well, and I think what's confusing is I go to look for so I found it actually because Jennifer mentioned it, like at some point. So there are the meeting minutes that have been passed and are like in the records. And that's where I go to find, like, that's not where the agenda is. So both of those things are in 2 completely different spaces. And I can't remember like right off top without my laptop in front of me, but there's opportunity to streamline.
By the time you're reading the minutes, another meeting has already happened. because they have to be
And they're not,
approved before.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's where like some of that confusion is, but even just, I know like driving down Dublin Road in Old Dublin, there are often sandwich boards that have notice of public hearing with a QR code. That's something that would cost $100 total. That's just, I'm pulling that out. You would buy a reusable sandwich board and then print the poster. A QR code's free. That's something that takes you directly to a website. That's something that would better serve a piece of paper on doors. So, like I said, I'm happy to help. It's just concerning that it's been hard to get a lot of that notice out. You want to make it as easy as possible for your villagers to be.
And we already have the sandwich boards. We already have some.
See, you got it. I mean, literally,
It's a matter of printing.
But I know.
it costs $25 to make a weather friendly sandwich board you put on the street or on the sidewalk of somewhere, and QR code, that's free. It's done in 5 minutes, and then that's even just notice of public hearing, you QR code link to the agenda. I mean, that's something that. So anyway, I'll stop talking now because I don't want to beat a dead horse. Like, you've heard kind of how, I want to be a part of this. I want to know, and it's been hard. So hopefully this feedback will help. And if there's anything I can do, please let me know. I would be happy to. So
Thank you.
thank you very much.
All right, communication. So I will start, so I missed it. Mary gave me notes and I'll throw it. But so just as a public service announcement, so we've rearranged, obviously the table used to be up here and seats were out here and the podium was gone. I don't even know where we put the podium over here in the corner. But as we kind of now get back into in-person meetings, we have a new arrangement. We'll use the podium. Get your faces on TV. This is the village council meeting. So this is the business meeting of the council. So if you'd like to speak, if you have questions, fill out a form like Rachel did, and we'll just run more efficiently. All right. The only communications I had, actually, so we heard about the sale of Shawnee Square. So traded some emails with that new owner. And then this week I swore in, let me get his name right, Derek Slane, who, if you get a chance to meet this kid, he is an impressive kid. So the whole family was there. I don't know what the relationship, a buddy drove in from New Jersey to see this swearing in. So I think they were pretty excited that he's got I don't know his work history, but that he's got a job at least. But he does seem to be an impressive kid. So I welcome him to the village, and I hope he does very well. So Rob, do you have any?
No, don't have anything for pro temp right now.
All right, committee reports.
Finance met tonight prior to our council meeting. We nominated a new chair and vice chair for 2022. I'm the chair and Mary is the vice chair. We discussed increasing Russ's credit card limit. There are certain times of the year where some of his recurring charges are due, and occasionally a large purchase may be needed, an emergency or something to come up. And we didn't want him to be in a pickle and not have the funds to make those purchases. So we agreed to raise his credit card limit to $5,000. Shirley did a recap of the 2021 budget and the projections for 2022, and actually Rita revenue was up $24,000 over her estimates from last year. So that's a good news story, and property taxes were up $17,000. So we're in a decent place for the budget for going forward. She also shared with us, Rita had made some changes during COVID, allowing people to work from home and their employers still paying the taxes where they normally would report. That's going to be ending, or did end, the end of 2021. So we returned to the old municipal income tax withholdings, where you withhold where your work is performed. So hopefully some folks that are still working from home, the village will start getting those revenues instead of their normal work location. We discussed Russ's position as village admin. We brought him on over 6 months ago. And when we brought Russ onto that position, we were paying him a lower rate than what we had previously paid our village administrator. We have been paying Russ $19 an hour versus our previous administrator. We were paying $25 an hour, and they were working approximately 30 hours a week. Russ has been very successful in this position and doing really great things. So we've agreed to bump him up to that $25 an hour raise. You'll see legislation about that in the future. He's been working 5 to 8, 10 hours a week, just depending upon what things come up in the administrator role. So overall, we still are saving a substantial amount of money having Russ do police chief and village admin duties. Carol Kinder asked about, we had the Santa, the Chamber of Commerce, if you will remember, back on December 4th, we had Santa in the village. And the normal Santa, one of our residents that normally does that at no cost, was very sick the last minute and was unable to perform that. And Carol, with the help of Russ, was able to scurry and find a Santa to fill in. Cost was $525, but they made numerous visits to several businesses around the community, and we're here for the community. And Carol asked if we would agree to pay half of that, and we agreed to split that cost with the Chamber of Commerce. And that's it.
Any questions? All right, legislative actions. The first one, a third reading. Ordinance 20-2021, an ordinance to amend the zoning district map of the Village of Shawnee Hills, Delaware County, Ohio, by rezoning parcel numbers 600-432-22-022-000 and 600-432-22-028-000 from single family district R2 to the general commercial district GC. All right, any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 20-2021?
So move.
Second.
Kate,
Yes.
Eisen,
Yes.
Brantley,
Yes.
Sampson,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, the next one's a third reading, ordinance 21-2021. Much the same idea, an ordinance to amend the zoning district map of the Village of Shawnee Hills, Delaware County, Ohio, by rezoning several other parcels from the community commercial district to the general commercial district. Any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-2021?
So moved. Second.
Pete,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes,
Annie,
Yes.
Batchor,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, this is a first reading. This is an ordinance that Brian worked extremely hard on. Ordinance 02-2022, an ordinance amending section 1519-04B, fireworks possession, sale, or discharge prohibited exceptions of the Village of Shawnee Hills codified ordinances. It's a first reading.
So just confirm for me, the governor has changed it so they can be let off all year long. And we are saying, no, we don't
No.
want that, we only want it these days.
No, look.
Or do I have that backwards?
Well, no, it's not, it's like almost completely right, but not quite. The governor allowed.
Okay.
Well, it really wasn't backwards, but legal mind was like, well, no, really backwards. If you take a look at let me pull the ordinance up here. If you look at that second whereas clause, under the legislation, though it doesn't take effect until July 1st, so some of these holidays won't matter. So it's New Year's Day, Chinese New Year, Cinco de Mayo, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, sometime in around the 4th of July, and my birthday, Labor Day weekend, Diwali, and New Year's Eve. Those are the days where you are allowed then too. So obviously this won't kick in until the July 3rd because the bill doesn't take effect until July 1st. But then in 2023, you'll be able to have all of those. So the village could slim down that list or just keep a prohibition. But it was interesting because why I think the village should do this legislation if it wants to continue to ban them is because the House Bill 172 where this all came from, added that provision law that said you're allowed to do it like in accordance with this newly created section. So I've seen some chatter like on the municipal league websites. I think municipalities around the area who do ban them are going to sort of do similar legislation to make sure their ban is pursuant to this new section of the revised code that was created in the fireworks bill. So you could never do it all. You couldn't run these off anytime, but now you only be able to do it on those limited holidays.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. I thought it's odd that DeWine cited your birthday though. I didn't know you were that
Well,
close.
usually there is a gigantic celebration over here.
This is odd that he cited your birthday. All right, next one, first reading, ordinance 03-2022. An ordinance confirming the mayor's appointment of Derek Slane as a part-time police officer of the Village of Shawnee Hills and declare an emergency. All right, did I mention that he's an impressive kid?
Good.
All right, do I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading and declare ordinance 03-2022 an emergency?
So moved.
second,
Gates,
Yes.
Isaac,
yes,
Annie,
Yes.
Batchor,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 03-2022?
So moved.
Second.
Gates,
Yes.
Isaac,
yes,
Annie.
Yes.
Batchor,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, approval of the bills, I saw
Yes.
bills look good.
Yes.
All right, do I have a motion to pay our bills in the amount of $32,406.44?
So moved.
second,
Gates,
Yes.
Isaac,
yes,
Annie.
Yes.
Batchor,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Shirley, treasurer report?
Okay, general fund, $128,899.70, street fund, $368,912.92, state highway, $24,631.46, PD body armor, $810.52, drug law enforcement, $534.41, indigent drivers, $385.84, law enforcement trust, $6,980.72, the American Rescue Plan, $42,725.19, enforcement education, $1,228.5, fire fund, $74,992.20, weed fund, $3,157.30, TIP, $58,580.57, TIP two, $17,366.65, police district fund, $175,147.27, Veterans Memorial, $248.97. Sewer operating, $38,756.81. Sewer replacement, $13,000 to $11,008. Storm sewer, $12,565.74. Debt service, $92,232.27, for a total of $1,061,360.
All right, any questions on it? Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report as written?
So moved.
Second,
Bates,
Yes.
Ister,
yes,
Manny,
Yes.
Cantor,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, any miscellaneous business? Anyone? All right, committees are all set, right? Same
Yes,
committees?
same place.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second. Just wanted to stay here tonight.